Welcome to Deep Thought. Why I don't get into YouTube debates. And ironically, this ain't necessarily about debates, but it's just a basic thing that I've observed overall about people. Right? Now, one of the things with YouTube debates is that it's not really debates. A real debate is you have a moderator, you throw out some questions, and people, they get a certain amount of time to answer. The person gets a certain amount of time to rebut. Nobody's talking over each other. The thing is controlled. And really, a real debate is really like, if you look at a presidential debate, it's not really to win or whatever, even though somebody say somebody win or lose. It's just to convince somebody of your position or to sway somebody who hasn't made up their mind. Now, even beyond that, a true debate would have two people coming together to solve a problem. They present different ways of solving that problem, and then whoever wins, quote unquote wins, is because their idea sounds like the best path. And in that situation, the person who quote unquote loses will probably accept it. Then the real meaning of a debate is just to bring different ideas together and look at their merits and shortcomings. That's a debate. I don't have a problem with that. But when you talk about the YouTube debates, it's not so much about, it really isn't about trying to solve problems. It's about people trying to justify their beliefs. Let me say that again. It's about people trying to justify and rationalize their beliefs. All right? And the one thing about people in general, once people have a belief system, they will look for every instance that will rationalize that belief, regardless of the nature of it, even if it's something wrong. Like if you say, like recently on my main channel, I've talked a lot about, black men are doing way better than people realize. I've quoted a report of that nature. And even before that, I've always said there's plenty of successful black men. I did a video on, the number of black men making over 50,000. Now, people might think that's small, but that's only in American terms. That's actually a lot if you think globally. And even then, only, what is it? Maybe 27% of the population even makes that much. U.S. population makes that much. All right? But yet you would still get some people, because their belief system is that all black men are struggling, or most black men are struggling. They will try to find some instance where they will show this, or they will believe this. They're like, we're struggling. And I'm just like, no, not really. Struggle is relative. But see, that's how, even with statistics, you can point out statistics, and one of the things I've noticed, people will find a number that agrees with them. But usually, a lot of times people don't find it, or they don't really read it, or they'll just read enough or look at enough just to support their argument. A lot of times they don't. That's really a big problem. A lot of people throw out the word data, but data is really, it tells a little bit of a story. Even with census figures, because even though I've thrown out some, I still personally take it with a grain of salt. Because one of the problems with the census is that it doesn't count everything. I've worked at the Bureau of the Census. If they count 75% of the population, that's actually considered very good. Which means you have a whole other 25% who, for whatever reason, is not saying anything. And it's not always poor people or homeless people. You get some affluent people who refuse to answer census questions. Thus they have enumerators who go out and try to talk to the people personally. And even then they have the right to refuse to answer questions. So you're talking about a voluntary thing. And well, another thing with numbers, people will say a survey. Right? They'll say this survey said, but then it's like, how many people took that survey? I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. Like they'll say 1,000 people, but that doesn't. It's just like in voting, right? Voting polls and everything. You don't interview everybody. And that's been shown to happen in politics where people might not be honest. So you got to take that. But then, take that with a grain of salt. But people will still find the information to justify their beliefs, even if they're false beliefs. Or another thing, that's data is one way, but they will look at instances where they see stuff like, to support their beliefs. Like a common belief with many women, and I'm going to say black women, is that there aren't any good black men out there. That's a very common belief. And some will quote statistics. Like, I'll give you an example. One quoted statistics one time. She said, well, the stats say this and the stats say that. And then, she had all that to support her belief, right? But then I said to her, okay, how many black male friends you have? Like, you could say they're single black male friends. She said 5, right? All right. So out of that 5, how many would you date? And she said 2. So I was like, okay, but all right, so you got 5 men that you know, single men that you know, 2 that you would date. How is there a shortage? All right? She couldn't really answer me. But she used numbers and everything to say there was a shortage. But it was more about her beliefs. See, that's the whole thing. When people believe something, one of the problems out here is many people don't search for truth. One of the things I pride myself on, I'm not stuck in any position I have. I've changed a lot. I've changed a lot. Like one example is the whole concept of game. There was a very long time I was like, you either got it or you don't. Now, now I'm more, all right, I think you can make it. I think people can definitely improve. All right. But especially when I was younger, I was like, phew. And that's changed over the years, but I was willing to see truth. Right. And I'm willing to see it. And it's not based on data. It's not based on data, but just being willing to face my own false beliefs. Right. Like there's a false belief. I'm not going to give it to y'all because I need to keep some stuff private. But I had to look at something about myself, and I had to be honest. Like just a recent thing. I was just like, well, there was something I was concerned about, and then I had to be honest with myself. It was like, nah, Rom, it ain't a concern. This is all on you. So I had to confront that belief. I had to confront that reality. And once I did, now I have a better perspective. See, a lot of people, they so stuck in their belief. I'm going to tell you what, people are so stuck in their beliefs that if you show them unrefutable evidence that their beliefs are wrong, you can kill them. Like you can kill them. They so stuck. And literally. Now, if you can convince that person to, despite the pain, fight through it, they're actually better for it. They are actually better for it. And that's one thing I've seen in life. People will just, life will find a way to give you the truth. If you don't have blinders on and everything. Life will find a way. So, one of the things I would say in closing, and I know I kind of baited you. I say, well, I don't get into YouTube debates. Yeah, well, because I know that's what people get y'all fired up. But in closing, I would just say never be afraid to look at the truth and be honest about it. If you're going to be honest with anybody, just be honest with yourself. All right? Don't get so stuck in a position, right? Or so into not letting the other person win or letting them be right that you don't face the truth. And you know what? Sometimes people will be gracious about it. Sometimes they're going to be obnoxious about it. Like, yeah, I was right. It was like, all right, shut your ass up. All right? Don't get fired up. A dog is, you know what? A broken clock is right twice a day if they going to get on your nerves. But you want to face the truth for yourself. Forget everybody else. It don't matter what they think. You facing it for yourself. Because if you going a certain way in life, then you always gonna go that way. Understanding that truth. And like I said, even at my age, I recently had a revelation about myself. I had it before, but to be honest, I was trying to fight it. And now I'm just like, yeah, okay. I'm at peace with it, kind of happy with it now, right? I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, it's like, okay, I understand. But the shit, facing your false beliefs is about you. And once you deal with them, then you can deal with everything else. You can move in another way. So anyway, that's all I got for y'all. I'll talk to you later. Peace and blessings.